Hey, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Small Business Small Talk. I am your host, Christy Smallwood, and I am pleased to welcome you to this episode. First, some housekeeping. Might as well start there. Be sure to go to our website, www.smallbusinesssmalltalk.com, and you can see all of the episodes that we have so far. And these episodes in this format. So Small Business Small Talk has existed since about 2017-ish. With this particular format where I interview other small business owners and those small business development people, this format I launched it at the beginning of 2020. And it has become one of my favorite things to do in life. These people are so amazing. And I have been privileged to be able to know how to do this stuff technically good enough to provide a platform that they can use for extra content. At a minimum, it gives those small business people a little taste of what podcasting can do for them, and to have some extra stuff to be able to advertise themselves and their business and tell their story. Stories, as we know, sells, and every business owner out there has a great story. And I just wanted to be able to put this thing together so that I can share their stories. And it's not all about me. It's not all about my clients. And it's not about what I do. But I do love when I get a chance to have a conversation with somebody who is in one of my industries. Because of my business model, I'm in multiple industries: marketing, training, business coaching, facilitation, even travel. So anytime I can talk to a fellow pick a folder, I just get all kinds of giddy because it's fun for me to have those conversations. Well, my next guest that I have today, just quite frankly, I don't know if I'll have him back. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. Tristan, if you're listening to this, totally kidding. He did such a great job. It was the first time that we've met was through this interview process. And look, y'all, he basically called me out without calling me out. And as uncomfortable as that can be for me sometimes, I was like, okay, I get it. I need to work on some things. Do we have to point it out now? Like, all the things need to be pointed out. So first of all, I'm not a perfect person, and I do have a lot of things that I'm working on my own business. And I share a lot of that stuff with people, especially my clients, because if I find something that I'm dealing with and I found a hack, if you will, a life hack, then I share that with my people. I'm very open to sharing all kinds of tips and tricks and concepts, like how to bridge a concept with a tip, an actual piece of action that brings the concept to life, that just resonates, and like we remember it and do it. It just means more. I'm good at that. So I am in a process now where I've got to work on processes in my business for administrative stuff, especially administrative stuff. Sales processes, yes, but the administrative stuff is the adulting of life things that not everybody wants to do in business. These are the things that I get stuck in those details. And so you're going to hear my next guest and I talk about my own issues and my needing to work on processes in my business, because Tristan Wright is a business Sherpa, is how he refers to himself. So he is in the business coaching industry like I am, but he's the original business Sherpa. He is in Australia. So I'm also very fortunate through this technology to be able to meet people from all over the world that are also in small businesses. And his background is that he started his adult life as an engineer, and he had his own business, and it was in cyclist and athletic clothing, and he was doing like gangbusters, doing so well. And he was very young, so 20 young. And he learned a lot real fast on his own, and he made it very successful. And as we like to say here in the backwoods of life, maybe got a little too big for his britches. So he learned some life lessons along the way, and he got himself into a debt situation, and another life event happened that he'll talk about that caused him to just not want to get out of bed. And I get it. So I think we've all had those days where we just want to stay under the covers for a while. So we talk about like what got him out of that so that he could move forward, and he rebuilt the business and eventually sold it too, because it was doing so well. Somebody came along and was like, I want to buy that. And he's like, sold. So that he could go into the next phase of his life, which is becoming this business coach. And now he's got a successful coaching practice in Australia. It's he's got a website called evolvetogrow.com.au for those of my friends in the States here. So Tristan Wright has got a really good background of learning lessons about business and how he's working with his clients to just be able to think better so that they can do better, and to be able to see, because of his engineer mind, he can see these processes and the benefits of being more productive, and how that brings more alignment to your life. So without further ado, here is my interview with Tristan Wright with Evolve to Grow, the business Sherpa from Australia. Tristan, thank you so much for being my guest on Small Business Small Talk. A friend of mine that I've worked with here introduced me to you on LinkedIn, and I looked you up and I was like, ooh, this is going to be a great conversation. I was so excited about it, and you agreed to do it, and I got even more excited. And then I realized, oh my gosh, you're on the other side of the world. There's going to have to be caffeine involved at either point of the day, which makes it, fine. But I was so glad that you picked my later day, your morning. Thank you. Because, a 7:30 in the morning for me is not pretty. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you very much for having me. And it's 7:30 in the morning for me, so I've got my big coffee.
Oh,
I don't know if we're doing,
sorry.
I don't know if we're doing video or not, but I just showed the big coffee.
We are. We absolutely are, because we go out on YouTube, Facebook. We have the website, and all the podcast channels, the audio channels as well, about 9 of those. So
fantastic. It's best to syndicate everywhere so people can hear us and see us all over the place.
So one of the things I wanted to ask first, right off the bat, is explain to me, what is a business Sherpa?
I can explain that. So for those that don't know, I market or brand myself as a business Sherpa. And I'm going to use the example of Mount Kilimanjaro. No, not Mount Kilimanjaro, because I'm thinking Kilimanjaro because I climbed that a couple of years ago. Mount Everest. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to talk about. It's too early in the morning. I haven't had enough caffeine. So Mount Everest, there's a family over there called the Sherpa family. And we don't necessarily associate the Sherpa family, but we associate Sherpas with the people that will take you up Mount Everest. So if you want to go and climb Mount Everest, if you want to get to the top, you're not going to climb Mount Everest by yourself. You're going to go and get someone from the Sherpa family to guide you to the top of Mount Everest. You're not going to get a porter. You're going to have porters carry your goods up there, carry your packs up there. But the Sherpa goes up there maybe 3 or 4 times a year, climbs to the top of Mount Everest. They know how to get to the top of Mount Everest. They know the paths. They know which paths you're going to fall off. They know which paths are the safest ones. So if we associate that with business, I'm the equivalent in business. I've climbed to the top of my Mount Everest with my previous business, but I fell off the side. I fell off the side a couple of times, got back onto the path, and then got to the top of my Mount Everest. Now I've come back down and I'm guiding other people to the top of their Mount Everest, hence business Sherpa.
Nice. And in our terms, it'd be similar to, because I use the term strategic guide as that business coaching model here. because like you, I've experienced a lot of things of like, don't do that. Like, let me guide you around the pitfalls and the quicksand and over this mountain and through this valley and all of that. I just want to
Yep.
guide you to the best way to avoid all that, as well as where all the, like we used to say, the good fishing holes. Like we'll
That's
show you.
and get there in the fastest, most efficient, safest way, most enjoyable way possible.
Yeah, because really it's about helping our clients. I kind of hate this term because it's become so cliche, but truly live their best life. Like defining what that is and then helping them get there is just, I don't know about you, it is really exciting for me because I love it when they feel better about themselves and how they show up in the world, the whole 9 yards.
Exactly. I've got a business model, and when I'm talking to my clients, or sorry, prior to talking to clients, I ask them what they want, and if it's money or if it's fulfillment, what is it that they actually want? And if they're just working for money, I'm actually going to be asking the question: are you actually the right client for me? Because my business model, my end goal, working with the client, is to provide them with fulfillment. Because I'm going to ask you this question: if you're fulfilled, do you want for anything else?
No.
You don't. You don't. So the purpose of a business is a tool for life. So the business has actually got to help you get towards your end goal, which is fulfillment.
Do you ever find that defining what I really want from a client is like hard for them?
Yeah, it often is, because business owners often don't know really why they've got into business. They've got into business for the wrong reason. Either it's because they're doing it to prove someone wrong, i.e., they're living their life on someone else's goal plans, or they're doing it just because they think they can do it better. They're not necessarily, their business goals aren't necessarily aligned with their personal goals. So one of the very first things that I do with my clients is work on clarity around business goals and personal goals, and making sure they've got the mindset to be able to focus on that. Then we can get into strategy and how to achieve that.
Do you ever go deeper with like their core values?
Well, if you think about the alignment, personal goals, business goals, yeah, we go deeper into that, their core values from there. So I'm just talking that high level with the alignment, but yeah, to get that, we need to understand their core values.
Because it's one of my favorite things to like get this defined, and then we come back out on how you're behaving from those values, and then it starts like, oh, I've made some connections in my brain of why this makes sense now. And like you, if it's not in alignment with what's important to them, then why? So why are we doing the business? And what is it that you hope for it to accomplish for you in life? Yeah, absolutely. I love that I'm meeting you because we're in the same industry, and I could talk about this kind of stuff all day. But what are some of the key areas that business owners like struggle with? They bring to you and they're like, help me, guide me, oh Sherpa.
That's $1 million question, isn't it? I could pull out 100 different things that people have issues with. It really depends. It really depends on the person, the stage of the business. Like, so many businesses or owners are really good at what they do, but they're really terrible at delegating. So if we think about it, you'll get to one glass ceiling. So let's say the first glass ceiling is $30,000 of revenue per month, where you're doing most of the work. Then you realize that you can get to the next one, which is $50,000 or $60,000 of revenue per month, where you've got to start delegating work. But business owners don't necessarily want to let go. So when they don't want to let go, they do work at the $60,000 level, but also at the $30,000 level, which leads to burnout. So they ask, how do I keep growing but reduce my work hours? That's one of the bigger ones. And often it's because they don't know how to delegate, they don't know how to lead. They blame their staff or blame people around them, but at the end of the day, it's internal issues, not issues. It's just because they haven't got the training or expertise in that area yet.
Okay, I feel like you're calling me out because of our conversation before we hit record.
do you want to mention what this conversation was?
No. I need to learn to get my own processes delegated to somebody else so they can help me.
Yeah. So just for those, we were talking for about 10 minutes prior about
in the proverbial green room, I call it.
Yes, in the green room. We're talking about the processes for the podcast, for this podcast interview, and from first point of conversation to all the going on back and forward between the first conversation and this interview, and then what happens afterwards, and how Christy actually manages most of it herself still, and she's afraid to hand it over because it's all stuck in her head.
It's just a mess all up in here, and I don't want to hand over a mess. And I hear myself saying it now, is like, that is the worst excuse ever. Just let somebody else clean it up.
Exactly. I'm all about creating a mess, then giving some guidance and finding someone with the correct expertise and saying, hey, this is my mess. This is the outcome that I want. This is the framework. Go and apply this mess to that framework, fix it up for me, come back, and we'll review it and then implement it.
So one of the bullet points that we talked about when you agreed to be on the podcast was increasing productivity.
Yep.
And I have a feeling this goes right into how to increase productivity. Get some help.
Yeah. So the simplest thing is anything that's going to happen more than once and is going to be profitable, go and create a process around it. Because when you create that process around it, you'll be able to realize, oh, I can refine this. And it's not actually going to take me 2 hours next time. It's going to take me half an hour because I've got all these checklists in place. So I can 4x my productivity.
Which kind of maybe leads to work-life balance. Is that what that's called?
Yeah. You can achieve a whole heap more in less time. But at the end of the day, work-life balance is more than just about productivity, because if you become more productive, you can keep finding more work to do and still be efficient and still work 60 hours a week. You're just going to increase your revenue. But work-life balance is separate to that. It's actually going back to that alignment and understanding why you've got work and why you've got your business and what's the purpose of it. Because most people have family, most people have friends, most people have relationships, and at the end of the day, business is a tool for those relationships or those engagements that we have. So many business owners forget that we've got those relationships, and those relationships won't stay at an A+ quality forever unless you put energy into them. You've got to put just as much energy into those friendships, those relationships, as you do your business. So just because you're more productive doesn't mean you should go and find more work. It means you should actually use that extra time.
Okay, Tristan, you're going to have to stop calling me out. Like, stop calling me out. That's so not fair. But I also understand I am a workaholic. So while I can help others find some of that peace and the balance and, have more family time and away from the office time, I've not turned around to apply that to me very much because I have so many things that I want to do and to accomplish for myself and my business. And I am in an environment where nobody is here to stop me. So I don't have to.
Have you ever thought that you could probably achieve them faster if you delegated?
Stop it. Yes, and that is why I do have 2 assistants now. I have 2 part-time people that help with a lot of the client work, so I can make sure clients are taken care of. So that's great. And then now I'm in this stage of what's next. We're having this conversation. This is the stuff that's next. Like, it's next on the list of get off the details off my plate to somebody else. that will handle it and put it into a really good system that will somewhat automate itself, and we still have
Yeah.
things going.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, if you can't look after yourself, you're going to hit burnout. And when you hit burnout, you can't look after your clients. Got a question for you. When was the last time you took a week off your business?
Well, you stop it. So, and here's the funny thing too, like I'm hearing you, but your screen is now frozen. And so
Oh, no.
I already have such a connection with you. I already know what your facial expression is to me right now.
It's a big smile.
So believe it or not, I took a vacation in April. And you're right, I was so burnt out that I need a vacation do-over, because it was not the best of experiences for me as vacations go. And I went to Disney World and I cried. Like, there's a lot of things that were going on. And I needed a safe place to have an emotional release. I just never thought my safe place was Disney World. And like nobody knows you. I could just, be all in mode, like I'm just so happy to be here. I could fake it, but I was crying, and I'm like, I need it. This is a good wake up call. I've got to find a better. My word of the year is rhythm. I go by words of the year to focus on, because I knew that was going to be a big thing for me before I can grow and scale my business. I know I need help. I can't do this all by myself. And I need to find some balance in the day, some harmony in my life to be able to still do all the fun things, but not be so in the detail so much, because I need creative time. I need to be away from all of this. And so, yeah, it was a good wake up call, but I've got another week of just creative week coming up, actually in 2 weeks. So take that.
I was about to ask, are you starting to feel a bit tired now?
I can't stop calling me out. Okay.
You know why? I've got a rule with my clients that they have, anyone that works with me, that every 90 days they have to have a week out. So
a week off every 90 days?
Correct.
What? Wait, is that like a standard thing in Australia? Because I might move.
For business, from a scientific perspective, our mind can't work more than 90 or 100 days at a time, or can't think in advance more than 90 or 100 days at a time. We'll become too overwhelmed. So if we work in 90-day sprints or quarterly sprints and focus on what we're going to achieve in the next 90 days, we then reward ourselves, have a week off, recharge, and go again. And being a business owner, you're in the fortunate position that you can pick and choose when you work. So
True.
If you implement, as a business owner, having a week off every 90 days and have targets for every 90 days, watch your productivity and output skyrocket.
Well, I'll have to circle back around with you on that, because again, in 2 weeks, that's my week. So we'll have to do
watch after that. Yeah, watch after that how much better you are.
Interesting. So do you find that there's a difference? Well, I don't know. I guess this would be a good question, because I work in the US, you are in Australia, but in the green room, you also told me you had some international clients. I do not yet. Do you find that there's differences in like cultural mindset? Or is it a thing that we're human and these are all of the basic things that should be able to work?
No, it's a really good question. No, what I would say is it's more, as opposed in the business world, as opposed to cultural mindsets, it's more about upbringing and the community that you were in as a child, and the guidance you had from your parents and school, and limiting beliefs based around that. So if you had parents pushing you to grow and saying money's no limit kind of thing, you're more likely to be successful. But if you had parents in a government job or a very restrictive job that are very lower paying, you're less likely to take risks and you're more likely to grow slower. So it's more about your upbringing as a child as opposed to the region that you're in.
Interesting. I'm thinking I agree with you on that because of some of my own clients. The difference is just between my clients and that in different parts of the country here, and if they have siblings or no siblings, and all of the other physical environmental stuff that makes us who we are has had this, what is the word, epigenetic influence on us that creates those thought patterns and how we behave. So
have a look at successful athletes. A lot of successful athletes, the percentage of their successful athletes that run successful businesses are most likely a lot higher than someone that just played basketball on a Tuesday night after school for a bit of fun. So successful athletes are more likely to run a successful business than people that haven't had goals as in childhood. So it comes to you've always having targets. If you've got a target to work towards, you're going to want to challenge yourself and keep moving. But if you haven't set those targets as a child, you end up needing to rewire your brain as you grow up.
Valid point. Okay, so you mentioned athletes. Isn't that part of your background too? Aren't you?
So yes and no. So my previous business was a sportswear business. So I made custom cycling clothing, custom running gear, custom triathlon. I can't even talk today. It's too early in the morning. Custom triathlon stuff. So making clothes for sporting clubs, institutes of sports, national teams. I ran that business. I set it up when I was I think I was 23 or 24 when I set it up. 23 when I set it up, and sold it at 29. So yeah, so I got into that. I was working as an engineer for a little bit, and I wasn't really engaged being an engineer. It wasn't challenging enough, and an opportunity presented itself to make some gear for some friends. So I made that gear for my friends and saw an opportunity in the market, and then set that business up. And within 18 months, I was still working a day job, but I was doing 300K revenue per annum, running a business from my kitchen table in the evenings. So
nice.
Yeah, so I was doing okay just in my spare time, and I thought I ended up going full time in it, and built it up to like it was a low 7-figure business in my mid-20s. And when you have so much success, or so-called success, you become arrogant because you've never made mistakes, and you don't know you're arrogant at the time, but you're getting all these results. So you're like, oh, I don't need support. I can just do this all by myself. Why would I invest in other people when I'm getting these results by myself?
Oh, okay.
So it's not until issues come up,
because they do.
Yeah, they do, that you realize, oh shit, I should have had some support structures in place. I'd built that business on a house of cards, basically.
Yeah. And I'm guessing as part of your story, so no longer having that business because you sold that business.
Yep.
And choosing this path for yourself, that was a huge deciding factor to be able to help people like maybe avoid that issue.
Yeah, literally, that is the reason why. It took me, after I sold the business, it took me a good 12 months, 18 months to determine that this is a path that I wanted to go on. But yeah, because I for those that don't know, I got the business into about 200 grand worth of debt, and I had no idea how to get out of that debt. And I didn't want to get out of bed. I stuck my head in the sand. At a very similar time, my wife left me, different reasons, but I just wasn't enjoying life.
I mean, that's a lot all at once, like in the same
Yeah.
season, being that far in debt, having somebody you love leave you, that's a lot to take in all at once. So
Yeah.
what are some of the first steps that you took to kind of turn things around?
Stay in bed and cry and do nothing to start with.
Okay. Did somebody come drag you out of bed, or what was it like to decide to get out of bed?
I realized that the sun was going to come up every single day for the rest of my life. And and because the sun was going to come up every single day, I was like, I could stay in bed and feel shit and feel sorry for myself, or I could actually make a change and try and improve things. I could either shut the business down, go and get a day job and take 10 years to pay off that debt, or I could knuckle down, fix everything up, improve the business, make it profitable again, and get out of the mess within a couple of years. And I realized that I wanted to have fun. I wanted to enjoy life. I didn't want to be in debt for another 10 or 15 years. So I went back and got advice, got guidance from others, improved the business, optimized the business, started making money again, to the point that my sales manager was like, wow, this business is going really awesome. I want to buy it from you. So that wasn't in my initial plans, but that's what ended up happening. And I was able to sell the business, wipe my debt, and make a profit off it. So
Nice. Sold.
and, yep. And I was really happy because I didn't have the passion for that industry anymore. And after I'd optimized it, I was like, I can actually do more with my life than just turning over a good income out of this business. I can challenge myself further. Didn't know what that was, but to be able to do that, I had to sell that business and move on. So yeah, ended up selling that optimized business, which is still running today, with the sales manager owning it. And from there, I was able to take time out, refocus, work out what my next steps were.
Nice. Well, I'm glad you made it this far. I'm also glad that you didn't say one of those scary ass big snakes or spiders or whatever pictures I see that are all over Australia.
We don't have, that's not that bad. So
You say it's not that bad.
I've never, I was about to say, I've never.
Exist? Are they photoshopped, or do they really have spiders this big?
Oh, yeah, probably, but not in suburbia. Maybe out in the bush kind of thing. So I was about to say, I've never seen a kangaroo hopping down the main street, and I actually realized that a couple of years ago I did once.
Oh, well. Okay. So there's that. Okay, so finding that motivation to get out of bed, to make your next move. What inspired, what's been some great advice? Who inspires you? Who's been some mentors over the years? What kind of things has been said to you that clicked for you?
Probably the biggest one is making sure I live my life on my goal plan, as opposed to someone else's goal plan. So for instance, live life for what I want to do, not what the goals my parents have set for me or what I think society expects of me. Live life on my plan. So many people live life on their parents' expectations or what they think the society's expectations are of themselves. So this goes back to the fulfillment and alignment bit I was talking about earlier. Live life on your own goal plan. Don't care about what your parents think of it. Don't care about what society thinks of you or what you think society thinks of you, because at the end of the day, they don't really care about you at all. So focus on what matters to you. That's probably the biggest thing that I've learned.
I love that. And it's so true. And I hear that a lot. One of the things I have to tell myself when I get wrapped up into whatever may be going on, or somebody is affecting my influential piece, right? I may be jealous about something. Let's just face it.
I'm gonna stop you there. They're not affecting it. You're allowing
I know.
them to
Okay. I
affect.
just said I'm jealous. Stop it, Tristan. So I might be jealous of somebody, or I'm thoroughly pissed off at them and they've affected me, and I've allowed it because now I'm worked up. And because like I have learned a couple of years ago, I learned this, I can generate better negative energy. It's not better. I can just generate negative energy a lot faster and get really super ticked off. And I get just worked up. And like, that's how I used to wake up in the mornings, which was stupid. I don't do it that way anymore. So I did
Good.
that good. But what I've also told myself is that person does not have any say so in my salvation or paying my bills. They don't count. Like they've got to, like that's the line. And if they don't affect those two things, they can't have any control of my head. So
Exactly.
yeah, and that pretty much covers 99.999% of the people. The only person that gets to do that because she helps control my bills is my mom, and she's my bookkeeper. So having those, so what are some things that you have in place for you? Like you can't be perfect now.
I'm not.
What happens for you? What are some things, coping mechanisms, things you may say, mantras? Like what do you do whenever the little naggy thingies happen?
Boundaries. Setting up boundaries. As a business owner, we're all pretty typically, especially in the early years, we're terrible at setting up boundaries, allowing work stuff to seep into our life, into our personal life, and vice versa. So for me, it's making sure that when I finish work at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, whatever it is, I'm switched off and I actually enjoy my personal life. I make sure that I exercise. So I've got hobbies outside of work. So it's not about me being perfect. It's having, and because I'm far from it, I often question why I'm doing what I'm doing, or because I'm stressed about something. But it is having coping mechanisms in place and having routines and processes that are science backed, that allow you to deal with everything that's happening on a day-to-day basis and move forward. So for me, it's making continual progress, having boundaries, and having hobbies outside of business. For me, those hobbies are exercise, so running and riding, and having goals for those hobbies. So I'm going to ask you a question, Christy. What hobbies do you have outside of business?
I read a lot.
Yep.
I crochet blankets. So I'm crocheting a blanket for my hairstylist. She just had a baby. And I do like to cook and bake. That's kind of seasonal. That just depends on my mood. I like to make things.
So when you're doing that, do you feel much better following that, and then and
absolutely.
the following day at work? Do you find that you're more productive and happier?
Not initially, and here's why. When I make something, it is a tangible, I've accomplished this thing.
Goal focused. You've got an outcome that you can measure.
Right. I can walk away and go, look how pretty this is. With what I do in business, everything's so intangible, or it's never ending. And so I don't have very often where I have that sense of completed accomplishment. And I know that is, I at least know it's my issue. And I'm like, you got to work on this.
Anything that you do in business, you need to change to be tangible. There's got to be short-term goals so you can measure that progress and celebrate those wins.
I would show you, but it's behind my cover, so it keeps the light out. So in my planner, here's one change I've made that helps me in this issue that I have. And I don't know why we've got onto the topic of me having my issues here. Thank you very much. Like I've done this whole podcast to set me up as being the credible one, but not on this episode.
You know what? Being who you are, being vulnerable and being open, allows people to associate with you,
Sure.
and people are going to be more likely to follow you because of that.
People keep telling me that all the time, but I do keep sharing. I'm not afraid to share my shit, as I've
That's,
always said.
that's the
So
best way to be.
in my planner, goal oriented, right? I keep here's the objectives, here's where we're going, here are the things that need to happen in a day. I have my little checklist. Now, traditionally, I used to use a little red pen to check off, right? Get the little red checks in a day. And I was like, why am I using red? That is an editor's
Change it to
tool.
green.
I changed it to gold. I want a gold star at the end of the week for accomplishing my stuff. And that became more of a tangible thing for me because I get to see all of these gold checks line up and I get a gold star at the end of the week for being so good at getting shit done. So that's how I fixed that.
Yeah. So you are achieving things and you are making progress. And that gives you those endorphins at the end of the week and to be happy.
People are like, wow, she's a lot more messed up than I thought she was. Yes.
we're all messed up in our own special way.
We're all finding great ways to refine that. So I don't know. So do you have those people that you look for to get better ideas and thought processes and all that kind of stuff? Like who would be some of your virtual mentors out there?
So I've had a business coach by the name, business/mindset coach, a guy called Matt Catling, and he's based in Sydney. So that's where the whole live life on your own goal plan came from. It came from him, and that he ran my first ever coaching course that I did, and that was back, I don't know, whatever year it was, 2017 or something, 2018, I can't remember the year. And that's what stuck with me ever since. So he's really stuck in my mind ongoing. Then you've got your guys like Jim Rohn. So have you heard of Jim Rohn?
Because I was going to bring him up. To have more, you need to be more.
So
yeah,
I've got Tony Robbins.
Yes, now Tony's not my favorite. My favorite is actually Darren Hardy, and Darren Hardy's mentor was Jim Rohn.
Who did Tony Robbins learn from?
Was it Og Mandino?
Jim.
Really? See,
yes.
And I don't know what it is about Tony, but it's like something is, I just don't want to listen to him for long periods of time.
So Tony Robbins, everything that Tony Robbins talks about is what he learned from Jim Rohn, but he's just rebranded it in his own unique, special way, targeting, whether I'm being controversial here or not, he's used Jim Rohn's materials to target more emotionally unstable people, is my take on Tony Robbins.
I will agree with that wholeheartedly. Yes.
So when I hear people say they like Tony Robbins, I say, don't listen to him. Go and listen to Jim Rohn stuff. It takes out all the fluff, and you actually learn properly from Jim Rohn's audio books. So if anyone wants to improve their business, improve their life, Jim Rohn is a perfect starting point. All of his content was in the 70s, 80s, early 90s, before all this marketing hype came about.
Yeah. I love the fact that he talks about defining your philosophy of life sets the tone, right? And you just live the philosophy of your life. Like it's defining ourselves. It's like, this is so beautiful. He keeps it so simple. You're like, oh my gosh, this is just so, like, he makes it sound so easy at times.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, life isn't meant to be complex. Why do we want to make it complex?
I don't know.
Keep it simple, stupid.
That's what that method's called.
Exactly.
So what has been some of your biggest lessons that you've learned? So other than the arrogance piece, what are some other big lessons that you'd be like, hey, this is a piece of advice I'm giving you?
I'm allowed to swear in this podcast? Or
Yes,
should I beep that?
you're allowed
Okay,
to swear as much as you want.
cool. Fuck up and fuck up fast.
Yes. Yes.
So the reason being, when you screw up, when you fuck up, you will learn from your mistakes and you will improve. And the next time you do that thing, you will do it better and you will make progress. But if you don't do something, you will keep thinking about it and keep thinking, what if? And you will stay stuck. And when you're stuck, you will get anxiety. And when you've got anxiety, you won't be happy.
And then you'll be in the bed crying, not wanting to get up.
Yep. So go and do shit. Go and do it. Don't care if you're going to make a mistake, because once you make the mistake, you will learn and you will improve. And the next time you do it, you will do it better.
No great musician, athlete, even a baker did not start out perfect. It's all, you got to start somewhere. Every great started as a beginner. And one of the things that I've learned over the years as well is that my mistakes are not me. They are me trying to do something. It's a skill set. It's not me as a person. I am not the fuck up. I just messed something up that can be fixed. I can do it again.
Correct.
Better, right? And
Yeah.
when we internalize, I've messed this up, I'm a mess up. And that's
right.
God, we've got to reframe things. It's got to be separated. I am not that. I am all of this, and all of this great stuff is going to be what makes this successful, just not that method.
Yep.
Try something different.
And thinking about another level is, make sure you've got a separate identity for yourself and for your business. Don't identify yourself as the business, or don't have the business identifying itself as you. Because
I'm Wonder Woman and my business is Eagle Eye.
so you
He doesn't know what to say.
So Wonder Woman has separated herself from Eagle Eye.
Yes.
And that's the main thing. Like, but what I mean is, on a personal level, make sure that your identity is not fully associated with the business. Like, so you could close that business down and set up a new business, and you wouldn't be heartbroken, kind of thing.
Exactly. And one of the things that I've had some clients learn recently is that the business needs things from people. It's not just the owner that needs somebody to do something. The business is relying on you to accomplish it, like the whole team aspect. Like, so that creates the business as a separate entity from me as the leader. And so even in the marketing realm, treating the business brand as its own entity, it gives it its own personality, its own, like, pretend your business brand is out there walking in the marketplace. How are you presenting it? And so It's got to be separate than you. And that's the stuff I work on in the marketing category of life, in that folder. But awesome. So any fun last bit of stuff you want to share with our audience here?
So I guess the most important thing is making progress. Doesn't matter how much progress it is. And to do that, make sure you're always working on the next right thing.
So, fun question. What's the coolest thing that you've done in Australia? So that we can live vicariously through you.
The coolest thing in Australia. I've done lots of cool things overseas. What's the most cool thing I've done in Australia? Recently was this, because I was at the moment, we're not allowed to travel overseas. We're in pretty tough lockdowns. So we did a big road trip up the East Coast, and I worked remotely for a month, and just went and visited all cool places throughout Australia. So went all the way up to Noosa, which is probably 2 hours north of Brisbane. So
nice. Now, is that the Great Barrier Reef area?
just short of Great Barrier Reef. Noosa is probably, say, 5 hours drive south of the Great Barrier Reef. So for those that don't know, the landmass of Australia is almost the same landmass as the States. So take out take out Alaska, and we're almost the same size as the States landmass wise. So we traveled.
Our 48 states would be the size of Australia. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we drove 2/3 of the way from bottom to the top. We drove 2/3 of the way up, kind of.
So it'd be like going from Florida to New York, or Maine. Actually, Maine and Vermont.
I don't know well enough, but you can describe it. So yeah, that was probably the most recent fun thing that I've done.
Nice. I love a good road trip. I absolutely adore road trips. They're amazing. Okay, so final question: what does success mean for you?
It's always changing. I think success comes back to my model. It's being fulfilled, and being fulfilled is always making progress and being challenged in both business and personal life, because once we reach one goal, we're going to find another goal. So it's making progress, continually making progress and moving forward.
Love it. Love it. Tristan, you have been an absolutely wonderful guest. I want to have you on again at some point.
I'd love to be on again.
But you don't have to call me out so much.
I'm sorry. I was just speaking the truth.
I know. All my friends are going to be like, yes, Tristan, go. You tell her. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure. Have a great day.
So yeah, I'm sure you heard, places where I was like, yes, I have work to do, as I'm sure you probably, listening to this podcast, listening to this episode, have kind of maybe internalized it yourself and said, oh, wait, I have an area or two that I also need to work on, because it needs to happen for me to get to a new level. You have to do different things. So learning how to change and adjust and be agile, as to be able to handle this change. We know shit's always going to end up hitting the fan at some point. Pick anything in life that could potentially happen, and it goes on the threat list of the SWOT analysis. So we know we need to learn to be able to make change happen. Sometimes we can plan for it on purpose. Other times it's going to happen to us. And it's our philosophy of life. It's how we approach things with our thoughts and how we see it. And I love that we talked so much about alignment and productivity. And I don't know about you, but I really want to take one of those, take a week off every 90 days. Wow. Like that's going on my list. I thought taking a day off every 90 days was really good for me, like getting out of the house kind of thing for an entire day. No computer, shut it all off, like unplug completely. I don't do that near enough, because I will always sneak in an hour or two here and there, and that doesn't count. Like a complete shutdown. 90 days, 1 week of vacation. I think we all should add that as part of our life goals. I think that would be great. So I hope that you found some value in this. I adored him. I absolutely adored talking to Tristan. He's smart, sharp. He's got it together. I'm just excited to see his business continue to evolve and grow. And I'm excited to hear more stories from him working with his clients so that he can help them also evolve and grow. I just loved it. So I thank you for your time today in participating with us. Please leave a comment, preferably an awesome review. Let me know what you think about this. If you have questions, or if you're like, I need an industry, I need somebody else in my industry to tell me that they're going through some things, send me in a direction. I'll go grab somebody to have a conversation with. Absolutely. This is a great place to be able to spotlight those small business owners who are being successful, learned a lot about life, the brass tacks, if you will, of the best mentors in life is trial and error. Yeah, we all have great stories to share, and we should be sharing them together. And I am so honored to be able to provide that platform and that channel through Small Business Small Talk. So, with that, remember, you can go to the website, smallbusinesssmalltalk.com. We have a Facebook page. You can follow us there. We are also on YouTube. You can subscribe, hit the little bell to make sure that you get reminders when there are new episodes, or find us on your favorite podcasting channel like Spotify or Google Podcasts. And remember to share with your friends because your business peers also need to know about this. And one last, I want to do a final shout out to my sponsor partner, which is the Chamber of St. Matthews, located here in Louisville, Kentucky, but we serve over 250 zip codes now. And that's a large area. We're out and about for sure. So if you are not part of your local chamber, please get plugged in. We at St. Matthews do have virtual options, so you're welcome to join me and my wonderful business colleagues here in the Kentuckiana area. Please, whatever you do, just get plugged in. You're not alone. We're all in this business together. And I thank you again for your time today listening to smallbusinesssmalltalk.com. I've been your host, Christy Smallwood.